Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Wala hawla wala quwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Irwan, and I am the representative of the Group 8. And my friend and I, Selfie and Mia, will give a presentation about digital literacies at work. Uh, so, me, as the first presenter, will explain about what is digital literacies at work. So there are two things that I would like to mark in here. That is actually fast, past, and future. We will explain about it more, but we need to answer what is digital literacies at work. So as we know that the increased development and adoption of digital technologies have made a lot of change in our way of life. Much of the increase of the internet by the companies has been driven by broader economic changes brought about by globalization. It is doubtful, however, that globalization would have been possible without the increased connectivity and speed of communication brought about by digital technologies. So as we know that this advancement of technology, this advancement of the internet have made a lot of change in the way we live. So as we know that the globalization, the mixing about one culture with one another could have been possible without the help of the internet. So I will outline some line in this ebook to fully examine how workplace and the idea of work itself have changed in the past 2 decades would require a separate book. Okay, what we can do is summarize the five main change that we see as most relevant to the kind of literacy practice that will be required in the new work order. We also explain about new work order more, but first of all is one, a shift from manufacturing to work knowledge. Yeah, I think, yeah, I made this up. See? And then two, the distribution of work across geographical distance. Okay, local distribution and large geographical distribution of work. Okay, and then the emphasis on the workplace as where people work. Okay, as we know, we have in the past we have to come to workplace when we want to work, but nowadays we can work anywhere by the help of the internet, of course. And then for a flattening hierarchies within organization. About the flattening of hierarchies within organization, as we know that the company right now, since they didn't want to have a lot of division, there are sometimes ask another company that is, let's say, specialized in certain way, like designing an IT media or something like that. uh, so they didn't need to put such a specific device in their company anymore, since they can hire someone to do it, and they didn't need to pay the fee monthly to the staff, since let's just say when the contract is start and the job is done and that's it, the company doesn't waste a lot of money. And then for the five is a weakening the relationship between employers and the employees. Okay, this is obvious, since when we in the past we have to come to a workplace, by the advancement of the technology nowadays, it might be lead to the weakening relationship between owners and the workers, as you know that when we come to one workplace, we tend to be socialized with one another, and by the advancement of the technology where we can work anywhere, it seems that that part where we are socialized with one another have become, I don't know, a fate. I don't know what word is fit more than fat, but just like that. Okay, we'll explain about the knowledge work a little. Okay, many people working in this new economy are engaged in what is known knowledge work. Work is primarily focused on information processing and knowledge creation. It is not surprising that the most of the new job in this company are the information technology. It is obvious, but even in other sector, job increasingly involve worker in the use of high technology, the manipulation of information, and the creation of knowledge. Okay. So as we know that when in the past the companies tend to use the manufacturing to make their companies a lot bigger, but let's just say this is happen nowadays. So when company just manufacture something, yes, they sell their stuff, they sell their goods, they sell their products. But right now, as we know, if the company just doing that, they might lose something important in nowadays. It's the power of community. Okay, let's take a look to a Tesla. Why I giving this as an example? As we know that Tesla is such a good product. They made an electric car, but as you know that they also like making a society here, a people that are used to people that like to use the electric car, that they say it is carbon free, it is more economical, it is more reliable. And then when people driven into that, I don't know, mindset, and that's it, people's gonna love it because they are not just selling a product, but they are selling something to community, something important, like, hey, you have to care about the environment, you have to care about the world. Yeah, maybe something like that. And then as we know that when we look into the social media where we can make a contact, make socialize with our friends that is far away, try to look around. They giving something to us free, the social media. Let us say Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. They're giving all the information for free to us. But what is important that that is not exactly free because of what? When we tend to use the social media, people tend to tailor what we like. And most of the, let's say, feed in Instagram that appear in our search is actually based on our interest. So in this nowadays, it is not just about the is look. I know that this is exactly gonna fade away our privacy, but this is how the social media work. This is how the social media make money. So when you do some, let's just say, an interaction to the other post that you like, then the algorithm, the system in Instagram gonna look what would you like, and then that's it. That's all appears in your search. Is it good for you? Yes, it might be good. At some point, it might be useful to you because you get the information that you really like, but at some point, it can be dangerous actually, since you can be injected with a lot of ad that is related to the feed that you search. This is how the social media gets money. And let's just say when you talk about one product, and this is actually scary, but it also how a social media makes money. They didn't give it to you for free. There is something that you have. I call it something that we have to face, something that we have to see. And that's why they're making an ads inside their platform. And then for this second, the geographical distribution. Okay, as we know, let's take a look at an example that a lot of our product comes from China, right? But some of the product that we know, like Apple, they actually developed in America. Apple, the iPhone, but they are manufactured in China. Why in the world could this happen? This is happen because the cost of labor in China is way more lower than in the America, and we can't deny it. I actually still need to learn more about this, but as you going to deeper, China is amazing in doing manufacturing. They can tend to lower the price and still make a good product, obviously. And that's it. That's why geographical distribution have changed. It's not in one country, but in fault multiple country, like Apple did with their iPhones. And then work anywhere. As we know that work anywhere, like you know that we in this 2020, right now is 2021, that we have to face COVID-19 pandemic or whatsoever, that it makes our government told us to do work from home, study from home, or teach from home, or etc. You know what? Uh, it's actually already doing in I don't know, like over years ago. It's actually happened, but it's not as massive as right now. Why could this happen? Because as we know that in the past we come to workplace, and right now we can work anywhere. This is by the help of the internet, by the help of the communication. And then about the flattening hierarchy. About the flattening hierarchy is obviously that, like I explained before, the companies don't need to hire or to put someone in their company anymore. Because of what? Because they can hire someone from the outside, whether from the outsourcing, whether to the related company that do some specific stuff. Let's just say I have a company in developing property, but I didn't want to use a lot of IT teams in my company. Let's say I have a problem with my computer. Since I didn't want to, let's say, paying fee monthly, since I know that job wasn't required all the time because it's only happen when the problems occur. So I only hire people when I have the problem, and then I hire it, and then when the job is done, I pay them. So I don't need to pay them monthly. And that's why, as we know, that technology flattening a hierarchy within organization. See, is it good for the companies? At some point, it is good. At some point, it might be, let's say, wasn't good too for the employees or the employers or etc. Okay. And for the last, weakening relationship between employers, employee, vice versa. This is the already explained before that it's happened by the Platonic hierarchy that when we come to workplace we tend to socialize with one another. Boss to the worker, boss to the staff to the boss, and etc. And we couldn't tell it anymore since this is our way of life, right? When we come to something environment, we tend to socialize since we are human beings. We need others, even though we are the one who, let's say, the quiet in the whole workplace. We still need to be socialized to make our world is because we need one another. And as we know that there is the NWO terms, but it's not no world order, but it's actually no work order. Should we care about it? I don't think so, since the technology is advancing, the internet is advancing, our way of life is advancing. It's developing into make our work easier, but it is something that we have to accept. It's not something that we have to scare. And yep, this is just, let's say, when okay, we're gonna take an example about when people found a car. People tend don't believe it that that car will change the way we use transportation, since in the, let's say, 80s people tend to use horses, right? And what is it? I forget the one that tail in the back of the horse. In Bahasa we call it kereta. I have no words in English, so I couldn't say it. Okay, but let's try to look nowadays. Most of the people have cars, right? And it is part of life, maybe, because that car is important to take you to one place to another from A to B. And that's it. We can deny the advancement of no technology. This is how we should accept how the advancement technology is helping us to make our way ease, to make our work easily. And also for the last, I will explain too about, okay, what else? Let's see. Okay, just a little bit an explanation about the rise of the nomadic one. Okay, I think that's all from me. Okay, thank you for the attention, and I will give the other explanation to my friends, Mia and Selfie. Thank you.
Digital media and the creation of context. Above, we discussed some of the advantage and disadvantage of using collaborative tools in the management of text by virtual teams. The problem many organizations confront in this regard, we said, come from taking a skill-based view of technology and teamwork and not paying enough attention on the social context, social relationship and personal experience that support successful teamwork. An exception to this is the increasing use of social media in workplace. The difference between the use of social media tools and the use of collaborative digital workspace is that while the latter emphasize text and the text, the former emphasize context most wikis, for example, facilitate the collaborative authoring or editing of documents but create few change for users to get to know and get to trust one another. Social media tools, on the other hand, allow collaborators to share information more freely, whether it is relevant to the task at hand or not. In fact, in many organizations, social media is not explicitly used to accomplish any specific workplace task at all, but rather to facilitate the formation of relationship and the sharing of information that make it easier to get future tasks done in both virtual and face-to-face groups. Other organizations are attempting to merge the two functions, building tools like wikis, online whiteboard, and other kinds of collaborative work tools into social networking sites and commercial software suites for collaborative work like IBM's Lotus Connection and Microsoft SharePoint are increasingly including social networking functions. In their study of the ways employees of IBM use that company's internal social networking site called Behave, John DiMicco and her colleague, DiMicco et al. 2008, at the IBM Research Center in Cambridge, Massachusetts, found that people primarily use such tools not so much to collaborate on text as to get to know other people in the organization better, strengthen the weak, strengthen the weak in their networks, and reach out to other employees and do not know. One participant in their study said, "Behave helped me maintain loose social ties with people I don't have a close, frequent connection with." Another said, "Browsing lists of my contacts helped me get better knowledge of who I should know within IBM. By seeing who appears in multiple contact lists, I also learned about informal communities that exist within IBM, the cat lovers, the photographers, and maybe even the people who play strange music instruments. The collection of strong ties, weak ties, and strong weak ties that become visible in, in online social network actual mirrors and help to support the organizational structures that are becoming increasingly dominant in temporary workplace. The self-managing team with porous boundaries often need to form and disperse very quickly and often depend much on effective communication with people outside the team pe- but peripherally connected to they do not communication among people inside the team. Case study 12 Deloitte, one of the first large companies to promote the widespread use of social media among its employees, was the international accountancy firm Deloitte. Two notable examples of their effort are the firm's internal online social networking sites, The Street, and the YouTube-based film festival and sponsors called What's Your Deloitte. Both of these projects serve as illustrations both of how truly digital literacy practice have permeated contemporary workplace and how, in some cases, it is the social aspect of these tools that have proven to be most valuable to companies. Deloitte's internal social networking site was launched in 2007. Part of what motivated the Street creator Patricia Romeo to initiate the project was her observation that many employees were already using social networking sites like Facebook and LinkedIn at the office. Another motivation was requirement. Romeo wanted to find a way to make a firm appeal to the younger generation of workers accustomed to using social media to interact with people. The Street has capabilities similar to Facebook, providing Deloitte employees with profiles pre-populated with basic information including name, job title, and contact information. The employee can personalize their profiles by sharing photos, videos, resumes, community affiliations, and information about their hobbies and interests. Accessing a college profile on this street has many of the same qualities as visiting them in their office, where you might see a picture of their kids or souvenir of their favorite sports team on the wall. Dimiko and her college 2008 found that employees use personal profiles on workplace social networking sites to engage in a process of people sense making, which they describe as the process a person goes through to get a general understanding or gets of who someone is. This process facilitates the establishment of common ground, which in turn makes future work collaborative collaboration more successful. These projects give employees a chance to communicate about their personal experience using a social media tools that is familiar to them from their daily lives and at the same time to make a contribution to creating the public face of the company. The winning films are mostly playful, poking fun at the firm, like The Green Dot, in which an employee portrays himself as a client service superhero, and put for true, in which employees put the culture of put at the workplace. This unfiltered and sometimes irreverent This unfiltered and sometimes irreverent portraits of what it's like to do work at Deloitte have ended up serving as useful recruitment tools aimed at younger workers for whom they have much more credibility than traditional produced recruitment materials. Like the streets, What's Your Deloitte is an example of the company encouraging employees to use digital tools in ways that, while not directly related to performing particular work-related tasks, end up contributing significantly to overall productivity by helping to create a context for effective communication across the organization. Both of these exemplify many aspects of the new work order mentioned above. They encourage the strengthening of social relationships across administrative and geographical boundaries, facilitating the formation and management of self-regulating teams. Furthermore, by reducing virtual distance, they make the self-regulation of these teams easier, since people who trust one another are more likely to feel comfortable communicating openly and sharing their opinions. They also have to encourage creativity and innovation, first by cultivating an environment of trust and fun, and second by giving people more opportunities to pursue personal passion and hook up with others who share those passions. The street even uses the vocabulary of digital literacies when it refers to the online space where people can share these passions as affinity groups. Both of these examples exemplify many aspects of the new work order mentioned above. They encourage the strength of social relationship across administrative and geographical boundaries, facilitating the formation and management of self-regulating teams. Furthermore, by reducing virtual distance, they make the self-regulation of these teams easier, since people who trust one another are more likely to feel comfortable communicating openly and sharing their opinions.
Social media and career advancement. Social media tools are not just a good way for enterprises to foster cooperation in their organization and recruit new staff. They are also useful for individuals in managing their careers and finding new employment opportunities. In a world of increasingly temporary relationships with employers, social media help individuals stay connected to important relationships that can help them both to do today's job better and to find out about future opportunities. More and more young professionals are using social networking sites like Facebook and LinkedIn to form and maintain work-related connections. LinkedIn, in fact, markets itself as a tool for job seeking, providing ways for people to upload their resumes and connect with potential employers. The personal profiles that people create on LinkedIn contain a wealth of work-related details, which enables users to filter and search for contacts based on skill, knowledge, personal connection, or affinities that might be useful for specific purposes. It also helps people to build their personal brand through the information they include in their profiles and endorsement of their work from other members. Of course, many people already have presence in social networking sites before they enter the workforce, a presence which they build up during their high school and university studies. Many of the connections they have made with professors, classmates' friends, internship hosts, and acquaintances from extracurricular and voluntary activities end up being extremely useful to them when they enter the world of work. On the other hand, the public identity one wishes to portray often changes once one makes the transition from school to the workplace. As a result, some people find it necessary to manage the image projected on their social networking sites, especially since these sites are often the first places potential employers go in search of additional information about possible recruits. We will consider how we might use social networking to advance our own career. Activity 12.2 Wall Cleaning, Networking and Resume Building. A. Case Studies from Dimico and Milan 2007 and discuss the different ways three people have integrated their social media use into their careers and workplace practices. You can see that they have three cases over there. B. Personal reflection. Discuss how you might integrate your personal social networking practices into your career and workplace practices. In particular, talk about 1. If and how you might change your privacy settings or separate people into groups on your social networking site. 2. If and how you might alter the content you or your friends have posted on your social networking site, or establish a new profile, perhaps on a different site, to create a professional identity that you might use to market yourself. 3. If and how the people in your social networking might be useful in helping you find a job or advance your career in the future. Critical perspectives on the new work order. The changes in the nature of work we have been describing in this chapter and the literacy practices associated them are not universally regarded as positive. For many people, the new work order and the digitalized workplace associated with it raise serious questions about such things are the rights of workers and personal privacy. With the losing of ties between workers and employees, for example, there has come a lessening of job security for many workers, despite efforts by employers to give their staff a feeling of belonging. Rapid economic changes have led to increased downsizing and outsourcing. As a result, employers sometimes end up sending mixed signals to those who work for them, giving the impression that they want to employees who are both eager to stay and ready to leave. Contract workers and freelancers, while enjoying flexibility and freedom, are not available to enjoy the benefits and pension plans that, at least in the past, usually accompanied full-time employment. Those who work from their homes often end up working more rather than less, without the rigid temporal boundaries of the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday working week. The working week has come to be defined as however long it takes to get the job done. Those who still work in offices, on the other hand, are often finding themselves and their workplace activities under almost constant surveillance by employers using the same digital tools that are meant to empower workers and make their jobs easier. In his book, The Naked Employee, How Technology is Compromising Workplace Privacy, 2003, Frederick Lane warns that employers are increasingly regarding it as their right to monitor any employee communication that takes place over corporate networks and even to install spyware on employees' computers. He also notes how the internet has enabled employers and potential employers to gather information about people's private lives to an extent never before possible. Even the workplace social networking tools, which have the seemingly benign mission of helping workers to get to know one another better, also give employers access to information about their employees' private lives that might not have been otherwise available to them. Conclusion. In this chapter, we have talked about the role of digital literacies in the workplace. First, we considered how the world of work is changing and how digital technologies are, to some extent, facilitating or even driving these changes. Then, we discussed some of the advantages and disadvantages to using digital technologies for workplace collaboration. Finally, we discussed how organizations are using social media to foster more cohesive and creative workforces and how individuals are using them for career advancement and professional development. In some ways, it's particularly appropriate to end this final chapter by considering practices of workplace social networking. First, they vividly illustrate how, in the new work order, corporations must come to terms with and, in some cases, incorporate many of the ostensibly non-work related digital literacies we have been examining in this book. Second, they illustrate an important fact that we have been emphasizing throughout this book: the fact that digital literacies are not just about mastering particular skills, like being able to use track changes in Microsoft Word or to collaboratively author documents on a wiki, but also about being able to form and cultivate the right kinds of social relationships and to present oneself as the right kind of person using the tools available in different situations. I'm Selfie Octaviana presenting Group 3. Thank you so much for watching our video. Thank you so much for your time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.